Hi there, welcome back to ADSR Massive Tutorials. In this tutorial we're going to remake that kind of kick drum bass sound, very popular sort of sound with a lot of house music at the moment, and has been for the last couple of years really, kind of the Julio Bashmore style bass sound. And yeah, there was one or two requests for those type of bass sounds, so we thought we'd do one of those. So you can download this patch directly from the massivesynth.com website. There's a link on the screen. You can click on that link and download the patch exactly as we've got it here. But I'm going to talk through how I put this patch together, and also just discuss a little bit of processing that we've got on this instance of Massive. So quick shout out for the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed already, youtube.com/ADSR-tuts. So let's go ahead and create a new sound in Massive and mute the little bit of processing that we had there. Just solo this sound here. So for starters, I was going to get Oscillator 1, this sine square wavetable, and take the pitch down by 2 octaves. And bring the wavetable position round to about 2/3 of the way round, so introducing a bit of sine wave in there. And let's bring the amp down to this oscillator. I'm going to stack that with a pure sine wave. So load up the sine square wavetable again, bring the wavetable position all the way to the left this time, so it's only a sine wave that we've got on that oscillator 2. And let's take the pitch down by 2 octaves, so we've got a nice subby sine wave. And the way this sound kind of has that sort of punch and that kind of kick drum feel is to use pitch modulation. So let's go straight over to this first envelope here, and we can hold shift and click and drag the crosshair, this envelope, and drop it in the first pitch modulation box on both of these oscillators, and then we can hold Alt or Option and just go to +36 on the pitch modulation. So now this envelope is controlling the pitch of both of these oscillators. So now let's set up this envelope. So we want a very sharp attack for that kind of punch, and the decay, bring this right down so everything, well, the decay level stays at 0, attack level on full, and then this decay level is going to sort of determine that kind of punch and the register, like pitch wise. So and with it about a quarter of the way around, you tend to get that nice kind of punch on the sound. And what we can do here is use a macro to control this punch. So you can dial this if you want a mix for the amount of kind of punch you have on there. You can use the attack level for that. So let's control that with a macro. Rename that macro punch and put it all the way up to full. And we can kind of sharpen the envelope of the sound a little bit further using a filter here. So I'm going to load up a low pass 4 filter in this filter 1 slot. Take the resonance off, bring the cutoff down to 0, and go to this second modulation envelope here, and a similar envelope in here. So sharp attack, decay about halfway this time, just a little bit less, and everything else can stay the same. And let's use this second envelope to modulate the cutoff frequency of filter 1. So click and drag that crosshair, drop it in the first modulation box on this cutoff frequency of the filter, and we just sharpened up the tail of the sound a little bit there. So it's just a little bit more tighter on the tail. So we can actually use another macro here. So click and drag the crosshair, this third macro, drop it in the third modulation box here, the one that has the SC underneath it, and then highlight that SC, because we're going to use the sidechain modulation here to control this envelope modulation on the cutoff frequency. So check that SC button, turn it on, click the dash underneath the first modulation that we've applied there, click the dash so it's an up arrow. So now this is a volume control for this modulation. So you can dial in how much kind of character and I guess like top end you want on that sound there. So all the way up full, you got a lot of that top end. A bit lower down, you got much less and more like a sort of kick drum really. And then you can control the decay here as well. So you're getting into more sort of hardstyle sound there. So it's quite good to have macros on a sound like this, I think, just to sort of control it and tweak it as you want. So that third macro is a filter mod, and this fourth one can be decay. So bring it right round. So we've got a very tight envelope there, and then if we rename this decay, if we want a longer sort of decay, put it about halfway for now. So let's go ahead and apply some effects to this sound now. Oh, actually, let's head over to the voicing section and select mono rotate. So the sound's in monophonic, but that mono rotate seems to have nicer transitions in between the notes, less clicking. Monophonic can sometimes have a bit of clicking, so tend to really deep subby sounds go for the mono rotate option. Go to this oscillator section now, take that glide off, we don't really want that, and check the oscillator phases, restart via gate. So nice consistent bass tone. And let's move to these effects now. Effects 1, I'm going to have a teletube. Take the drive right down there. So just, it's driving the sound. Turn it off. Yeah, it's just giving it a nice bit of drive. And let's add a dimension expander as well. But just again subtle. So dry, wet and size right down there. Just lifting the sound a bit. And one final thing I want to do with this sound is use this insert effects down here. I'm going to use the Bitcrusher, and that's for the kind of sound we're after. That the effect as it is there, even like with the dry wet right down, it's still too much. But what we can do to create quite a cool effect is go to this routing section. And you can see at the moment insert 1 is being placed in the signal path. It's after filter 1, so the sound's going from the oscillators through the filter and then is going through this Bitcrusher and then is getting sent back into the signal path and going into the main effects and the output and stuff. But what I can do here is put the Bitcrusher before the filter and listen to the effect that has on the sound. That's it. That's with the Bitcrusher before the filter. That's with it after. But applying that distortion, that Bitcrushing before the filter, and we get this really nice sound because the filter is kind of controlling it a little bit. So turn the insert off. Just kind of driving it even further. I thought that was quite a nice effect. Obviously, you don't have to have that on. You tweak it to how you like to have it. So that's kind of everything set up with the bass patch really. Another thing I did was got these notes here. And one thing to note actually is if I play this with this beat here, I actually program these notes in between the kick drum because that sort of sound got that much attack to it. If you were going to place that like on the kick drum, say here, it's going to really clash with the kick. So you're getting a real spike in that output there. So I programmed a riff that was in between kick drums. And yeah, and then we did a little bit of sidechain compression. Using the Pro C and FabFilter Saturn to drive it even more. But what I've done here is I've got this multi-band distortion here, and so I'm just driving the high frequency on the sound from about 1K and upwards. If I mute this, bit of It's not touching the mids or the low frequency, it's just distorting the top end to just bring the character out and that top end a little bit. So just so it would cut through a mix a little bit. So that's the sound put together really. You can download that patch as we've got it there directly from the mastersynth.com website. There was a link at the start of the tutorial. Any questions about this tutorial, get in touch, give us a shout. And yeah, thanks for watching. Alright, cheers.